Hey guys, Prani here from Dash Car Productions, and I'm finally doing a car review. This is a CX-5 2021 Mazda. It is my wife's car that we picked up last week. It has about 590 kilometers, so we have been driving it a lot. We did get it with just 7 kilometers. Before we get started in today's video, I just want to give a quick shout out to Trevor and Jesse. They were our sales rep and manager that helped us purchase a vehicle. I'll have to say it was easily the best experience that I ever had. With any new vehicle that I bought or my family bought, it was a very, very good experience. They are from Langley Mazda, and I highly recommend them. So first and foremost, let's talk about the interior. It is beautiful in here. It's very Audi inspired. It has really nice, long, crisp lines. It does have a lot of soft materials. A lot of things look like it's leather, but it's actually not. It's actually hard plastic. But I will give Mazda a lot of credit. Like when you sit in here, you think you're in a German vehicle. So they absolutely nailed it. Now looking at the different materials here, I mean, it's mostly plastic, but some soft plastic around here. But when you just glaze at it, when you just look at it, you actually think it's leather. It actually really looks like leather. That was my first initial impression of it. So they do a fantastic job of getting the look, the design of the materials, of the plastic, and it looks absolutely amazing. Now, when you compare this interior to the other Japanese brands like your Honda, your Subarus, this is a heck of a lot nicer. Now, how I like to describe it is that, you have your German vehicles, then you have Mazda, and then you have the other Japanese vehicles. So it sits really nicely in the middle. And just sitting in here, it definitely reminds me of my dad's Q5. I mean, I actually feel like I'm in like a German vehicle. So they did an amazing job getting the interior right. So this is the middle trim. So it goes GX, GS, and GT. With the GS, I think that's the sweet spot. You get the leather seats. Not fully leather, like the middle part is like this suede, and then around the trims are leather, but they do look really nice and they do feel very comfortable. Another feature is the power lift gate. So you just hit the button and it goes up or down, which is really nice to have, especially my wife because she's really petite. So it makes it easier for her to reaching things. You also get all like the safety features. You get the lane departure, you get the automatic braking, you have a pedestrian sensor, so you have all the sensors in the world that you can ask for. And most of the sensors are in the GS model. The GX model has a limited amounts of safety, so they do draw back. I mean, they shouldn't, because I think safety should come first. So they're making you spend another $3,000 to get all the extra safety features. But for most people, I do think it is worth it for sure. And also, not on the GX model, which is the base one, is that this has a cylinder deactivation on a 4-cylinder. So it's really interesting. So in certain parameters and certain speeds, it'll actually just go run on 2 cylinders, which is crazy to think, right? Usually you hear about deactivation cylinders on a big V8, right? They come down to 4 cylinders being active. Obviously, the whole idea of that is to save fuel, and you have no idea when it turns off. Now, regarding the engine, it has about 186 horsepower and about 185 pound-feet of torque. It's just just like all the other brands in this price range. It's right there. It's all in that same power band. But the big difference in this vehicle that I feel like it accelerates better, it accelerates harder and feels a lot better, is because it has the conventional torque converter automatic transmission, and it's so much better than the CVT crap. I mean, CVT is so bad. I hate it. Like when I test drove the Forester, it had a CVT, and I was like, okay, it's good enough. But when you jump into a proper automatic transmission, it's night and day difference. It's so much better. You get more hard, crisper shifts. If the acceleration is a lot better, and it feels like a more driver's car. And to that point, Mazda has definitely made this a driver's car. The inputs are pretty heavy. The steering wheel, there is good weight to it. Even the throttle, when you push it, you got to push it really hard actually. Like, it's pretty heavy, but it feels good. It feels like, yeah, it has a lot of power behind it, but you know, it doesn't. You know, this car makes you feel like you're going faster than what you really are. And you know, Mazda's always been about having that driver's experience. So I think they definitely nailed it. Now, there are some drawbacks to that. I mean, if you want something that's very comfortable and easygoing, this is not this. I'm gonna say that right off the bat. This is not the car for you. I would recommend you to Subaru or their CR-V. They're gonna be a lot more comfortable. The suspension is gonna be a lot more softer. Like in this car here, a couple bumps right now, and you really feel it. Now, for me myself, you know, I love the driver car. So for me, I absolutely love it. You know, when you're driving around, give it some gas. Yeah, it's slow for sure, but it's not going anywhere. And you can barely hear it. But the inputs that Mazda is able to do in especially in the SUV, it's very impressive. So this vehicle does have a Triptronic system where you can kind of select your gear. But you know, in this kind of horsepower, you're probably not going to use it. But I will say it actually shifts gears pretty fast for what it is. Now, every time I shift gear, it's about half a second to change gears, and I think that's pretty good, considering what this is. You know, you can have a little bit of fun with it if you're gonna go, you know, do some driving around in the mountains. It definitely will get the job done. So let's feel it. It's 180 horsepower. What do you guys expect, right? You're not gonna hear me do my normal giggles and laughing. It's not that exciting when it comes to the G-forces. Like I said, the handling's great. The way it feels, like when you're sitting in it and the way it drives, it 100% feels like an Audi or a German car. Now I say Audi because my dad has an Audi. I can directly compare it. It definitely feels like an Audi. You know, the way it handles, the way it drives. So it's great in that sense. Absolutely. Now, obviously, with, you know, this is not, you can't really compare this to a German vehicle because one, they're like $25,000 more, so they're a lot more expensive. But I don't think a German car like my dad's Q5 with $55,000 plus tax, you know, I don't think this car is $25,000 or $20,000 worth less, right? With those bigger cars, you're getting for example, the dual clutch transmission, which is great, and you're getting about another, you know, 80 to 90 horsepower. And is that worth it to you? I mean, that's your choice. Now, the styling of the Mazda. Let me talk about the interior. Let's talk about the outside. I think the front looks really nice. It's very aggressive, very big, boxy front. The side, you know, it looks very curvy. Now, Mazda does, you know, they talk about how they don't want any hard lines. They want everything to be nice and molded. So you have these nice curvy looks for it. I mean, if that's not your cup of tea, then, you know, you're not gonna like it. You know, a contrast to this kind of style is definitely the RAV4. That's a very boxy look, right? Now, the back of the Mazda, it looks very ordinary. I'm not too thrilled about it, but you know, overall, I think it's one of the better looking. I think it's the best looking one, unless you like the RAV4, which has a very different kind of look. You know, I think the Subaru, the Forester is very ugly. The HRV or the CRV Honda, it's butt ugly. So this is definitely the nicest one in my opinion, and that's one of the reasons why my wife liked it. You know, it looks great outside, and like I said, interior is really nice. Now, the infotainment system, I think they did an amazing job. This is probably the best infotainment system I have dealt with. You know, it's easy to look at, and yes, the screen is high and kind of on its own, like sitting on top of the dash, and I know a lot of people hate that, but it makes sense because I can keep my eyes, you know, higher up. So when I want to look at the screen, I can kind of look into my peripheral vision or have a quick glance, and I can still see the road. Versus down here, I can't see the road anymore. So, you know, it's definitely a obvious choice of safety. Now, as you click through this system, you know, it's very easy. You have a main, a big dial here, which a lot of the German cars are doing here. They go left and right, and it goes through the menu, and it corresponds very nicely with how Mazda has their infotainment system. You know, they said they want everything when you hit like communications, you go in, they want, you know, maximum 3 clicks to go inside, and I think they did an excellent job of doing that. Now, you know, once you get the muscle memory of knowing where to go, you know, you don't even have to look at the screen. Everything could kind of be in your side vision, and you can go through everything. So Mazda, you know, they've done an amazing job of how you interact with everything. They even talk about like the biometrics of a human body and what how we function, how we sit, what's convenient. The one thing one thing I really love is that, and Audi does this as well, you have the volume button right next to your right arm. When you're leaning it down on the armrest, you have the volume control right here. Everything's there. It's really nice, very smart. Like, they put in a lot of money to figure out how our bodies are naturally sitting in a car and what's the most comfortable. There's a switch here in the left next to the gear shifter that you can put it in sport mode. What sport mode does, most of the cars, especially in this price range, it just keeps it a more aggressive gear. Why might you want that? Because if you're in a more aggressive gear, you're gonna have more power, right? So a lower gear, like gear 1, gear 2, you're gonna have a lot more power, a lot more G-force, a lot more acceleration versus gear 3 and 4. So when you put in sport mode, it's gonna kick up the RPM, which it just did, and now have power that's accessible to me. So if you're gonna pass someone, just hit the switch. Or if you want to do a little bit of spirited driving and going up a hill, or you want to take a corner a little fast, yeah, you can put in sport mode and it'll definitely be a little more enjoyable versus a very low gear. You don't have much power there, right? So about 50 kilometers, sport mode, about 2,500 RPM, floor it. You know what? It's decent. It definitely feels a lot faster than the Forester for sure. You're not going to have fun in this vehicle going straight because it's just not that powerful. But if you maintain a higher speed, like going to Squamish, going to Whistler, you can have some fun with those long sweepers, those long turns for sure. Now the back seats, plenty of space in the back, tons of space in the trunk. Because Mazda goes for a much more curvy look in the back, it does reduce some of the height, the cargo space of it, which I knew when I was throwing a bunch of baby seats, car seats, some boxes in there. I found that I couldn't fit everything in it. I had to put something in the front. So this vehicle is definitely lacking some space in the trunk compared to the Subaru, which had a heck of a lot more space. And the all-wheel drive system on this is extra, I believe, $2,000 versus the Subarus. They all come standard with all-wheel drive, right? So you are paying a bit of a premium for this vehicle for sure. All right, guys, that was my quick little review on the Mazda CX-5 2021. Do I recommend the car? Absolutely. I absolutely recommend this car. It handles very, very well. The interior is absolutely beautiful. It is definitely way nicer than the other vehicles in this price range. It's an easy buy for me. But like I said, if you want pure comfort, this is not the vehicle for you. We'll definitely say get a Subaru or a CR-V. So having said all that, we'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.